because building that network, and I was going to those GCCE meetings, which is Gulf Coast Chamber Executives, a regional group. And if you have a regional group you can connect with, that is so important to your career, your connection, your sounding board. Those people know what you're going through, or they can sympathize or empathize with what you're going through, and can truly help you when if you have an issue in your own community and you take it to someone within your own community, that may red flag you. That may say, why don't they know how to handle this? If you can, develop those relationships with folks, I think the biggest part is building your tribe and
This is the Chamber Chat Podcast, the show dedicated to chamber professionals to spark ideas and to get actionable tips and strategies to better serve your members and community. Hello, Chamber Champions. Welcome to Chamber Chat Podcast. I'm your host, Brandon Burton, and it's been my goal here on the podcast to introduce you to people and ideas to better help you serve your chamber members and your community. Today's guest is a true icon in the chamber world with over 4 decades of service and leadership in her community. DeWease has been with the Clear Lake Area Chamber of Commerce for an incredible 42 years, serving as its president and CEO for the past 18. During her tenure, she has transformed the chamber through bold strategic planning, launching impactful initiatives like a young professionals division, and leading a development program, a leadership development program, and a powerful buy-in to the Bay Area Think Local campaign. Cindy's leadership also extends to founding a C3 foundation, launching a women's engagement program, and guiding the chamber through major renovations, all while sharpening its mission by streamlining programs and events. Her civic leadership is just as impressive. She's served on numerous regional boards, including the City of Nassau Bay's Economic Development Corporation, the Bay Area Houston Economic Partnership, and the Bay Area Houston Transportation Partnership. She's also active in the Rotary Club of Space City and the Bay Area Houston Ballet and Theater Advisory Board. At the state level, Cindy is a recognized leader in the chamber professional development. She chaired the Texas Chamber of Commerce Executives during the pivotal year of 2020, served on their board for a decade, and is now chair of the 2026 Center for Chamber of Commerce Excellence in partnership with Texas A&M University, a program training the next generation of chamber and nonprofit professionals. Among her many accolades, Cindy was named the 2024 Marvin Hurley Award winner, ECCE's highest honor, and is a 2-time recipient of the Arthur A. Roberts Award for Distinguished Service. Cindy is a trailblazer, mentor, and change maker, and we're honored to welcome her here on the show. Cindy, if you would, I'd love to give you an opportunity to say hello to all the chamber champions who are out there listening and to share something interesting about yourself so we can all get to know you a little better.
Well, hello there. How are you? Thank you for that wonderful introduction that I helped you write.
I
Well, I appreciate that too, and thank you for taking the time to interview me. I've lived in the Clear Lake area, which is between Galveston and Houston, a home of the Johnson Space Center, which is the home of our nation's astronauts. So where our astronauts are trained, which is exciting for our community. And that's why our community is here, actually, because the Johnson Space Center was coming. Um, I live in a house that was built in 1963, and probably the first owner of that house bought the house because they were going to work at NASA. So we appreciate our history and our community so much. And I have been at this chamber since the early 80s and never expected to be in this position. I just didn't want to drive downtown Houston.
Really?
So you never know what's going to come your way. And so I appreciate you mentioning all the accolades that we all feel kind of like we have that imposter syndrome. Like, how did I get here? We look at the folks that have come before us and that list of people that have received some of those awards and you think that's so great, but I'll never, I'll never do that. But
Yeah.
somehow, I guess you outlive everyone, and here.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, yeah, right. Uh-huh. You just are the last one standing, or well, she's been here long enough.
Right.
Only worked for one chamber. So I've had a lot of experience getting to know my colleagues around the state, and have such a great connection. I don't know if any other industry has a connection like chamber folks do. And so,
Right.
I went to a funeral last weekend of the wife of one of our chamber execs that's retired, and just saw some old friends there that, we were just so happy to see each other. Sad occasion, that's the way you
Right.
do that, but just such a great community. Building
It
that
is.
is so much more important than you ever dream.
Yeah.
We know
The
we have,
network, the camaraderie, the knowledge sharing that happens is so valuable and so unique to the
yeah,
chamber industry. It's a wonderful
it
thing.
really is unique. And so,
Yeah.
if we're jealous of one another or not champion each other or helping each other, that's a breakdown. We gotta
Yeah.
I truly believe that's a continued needs to continue through the generations, because that's where you get your best friends, the people that have your back. And I wouldn't have done any of those if I didn't have that. You know,
Right.
statewide,
Exactly.
those people that pushed me and said, "Oh, you can do this." Really?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, if you would tell us a little bit about the Clear Lake Area Chamber, just to give us an
Okay.
idea of the size, staff, scope of work, budget, just to set the stage for our discussion.
Sure, sure. We have a little over 700 members of our chamber, our community, and we are a unique chamber in that we represent 9 different cities around a lake named Clear Lake. Um, so there's a population of about 350,000, probably a little bit more than that now, but that's about the population. And where I stand uniquely set between Houston and Galveston, like I said, and home of our nation's astronauts. We have 5 full-time employees, and we have a great team. And so one part-time employee that is our accountant comptroller. So she's retired, and she was a comptroller for San Jacinto College, which is a community college in our area, and just was bored. And so I said, well, come on over. We'll give you a couple
Well,
of
to
days.
play with some numbers.
Really? So it's kind of her retirement job. And our budget is just under a million.
Okay.
So, that's we're getting over that edge there. So I think the most unique thing is when we were named a chamber, it was already a regional chamber in 1962 when we started. 2 cities got together and formed a chamber because the Johnson Space Center was coming. And then another city joined, and as the community grew, all the other cities joined in and changed our name to the Clear Lake Area Chamber, which has always been that since I've been here. But it was like the late '70s, I think, when it started. That was unique in trying to get people to understand not a one city, one chamber. We were 9 cities and
Yeah.
of 2 counties.
That was probably pretty innovative at that time.
Was very innovative at that time, but they also recognized individual city chambers were not going to flourish, not going to make an
Yeah.
impact as the whole area. But also, we're an area where you drive out of one city into another and you don't even know.
You don't notice it.
You've
Yeah.
missed the little sign that says now entering in the city limits of, Webster or whatever it is. You're not going to know when you're driving out of one into another because of the way the city looks or the way the area is set up. So
Yeah.
we appreciate that, and it is a little more accepted now, and people want to join those chambers that have a bigger influence. And so we don't actively seek out other if there's a chamber in another area, but we also, as chambers of commerce, don't turn down a member. Legally we
Sure.
can't, but
Yeah.
but also, if they're doing business in our community, they should join. And that's
Yeah.
that we if they call us and say, well, I'm located in another city. Well, first of all, are you a member of that city's chamber of commerce because you're located there? But if you're doing business in our community, we want you to be a member of our. So
Yeah.
that's just kind of,
Seems like a fair way to play.
yep,
Yeah.
yep, yep. Do our best. We do
Yeah.
our best to set an example.
That's right. Now that we've established the rules, right?
Yep. You can do.
Right. Well, I'm looking forward to our discussion today. We've
Mhm.
settled on the topic of discussing continuing professional development, which is so important for those in the chamber industry and making a career out of this. And we'll dive into this topic and the insights that Cindy has on this as soon as we get back from this quick break.
Hi, I'm Joe.
And I'm Rose.
And we're the founders of At My Community, a mobile app that can be customized to meet the unique needs of your Chamber of Commerce.
When we started At My Community, we envisioned a tool that would help communities thrive by simplifying communication and enhancing engagement. Chambers of Commerce face unique challenges, and we're here to help you tackle them.
At My Community helps the Evergreen Area Chamber of Commerce to create an app that keeps tourists informed even when their office is closed. They provide 24/7 access to local business information, which helps support the local economy and community engagement.
In Rocky Mountain House, we helped the Rocky Chamber create an app with dynamic itineraries and digital resources for tourists, increasing local business engagement. The app has become an essential tool for the community, promoting events and boosting visibility for local merchants.
Today, we empower more than 200 chambers of commerce, campgrounds, and RV resorts to streamline communication, informing members about events, sharing business updates, and providing a digital hub for the community, all in one convenient app.
When you partner with At My Community, our team works closely with you to create an app that meets your chamber's unique needs. As your community grows, our app evolves with you. We are here to ensure you engage effectively with your members and streamline your operations.
Schedule a demo today at atmycommunity.com.
We can't wait to meet you.
Are you ready to take your organization's funding to the next level? Hi, I'm Clint Neesmith, CEO of Resource Development Group. As a Chamber of Commerce or Economic Development Organization leader, I know you understand the value of working with experts who understand your world. And that's exactly what RDG does best. For over 30 years, RDG has specialized in fundraising for EDOs and chambers. We bring cutting-edge strategies tailored to your organization, whether you're just starting out or gearing up for yet another new funding cycle. Importantly, our firm executives are hands-on from start to finish, from the feasibility study to the successful conclusion of your fundraising campaign, and our team brings deep industry roots and national expertise to every engagement. No matter the size of your community, RDG delivers data-driven, innovative revenue solutions, reinforcing ROI to investors and making sure your vision becomes reality. At RDG, we proudly build organizations that build communities. Visit us today at rdgfundraising.com and let us partner with you, building a stronger future for your organization and the community you are working to grow and develop.
All right, Cindy, we're back. As I mentioned before the break, today we're talking about continuing professional development. And I have to say, just as some background, one of the reasons I started this podcast, it was working with chambers of commerce. My background being in chamber publishing is I was all over the state of Texas and spending a lot of time in the car and working with a lot of rural chambers and some not so rural chambers. And really what I found is it didn't matter if you were rural or not, but what came down to is that professional development and whoever's leading the chamber being able to have access to that. And some of these smaller chambers that were underfunded, maybe their board just didn't approve for them to be a part of the state association or things of that nature, were definitely underserved. And I could tell a difference between these chambers that were plugged in, they had that network, they had that support system, versus those who were trying to figure it out on their own as they went. And there's a huge difference. So the podcast started to try to lend some support to those underserved chambers. But since then, it's evolved and there's been more conversation about the importance of continuing development, professional development. So I'd love to get your take on it. I know you've got a strategic role in this at this time as well, but talk to us about the importance of continuing professional development as a chamber professional.
Sure. Well, I have to say, for 25 years, I worked at the chamber as an employee. I did the 15 years of building sponsorships and programs for the chamber, non-dues revenue programs. And I did that just out of, okay, let's see what's going to work. Let's, throw this out there, because I didn't have the luxury of participating in our regional or statewide continuing education programs. I did go to Institute a long time ago when it was 6 years and you had to take a test and all those things. And it was at SMU. So that just tells you how long ago I was there. So, and you kind of build your tribe with those experiences. So I had some training with Institute, and I also had a few friends in the business that I could lean on to say, I'm working on this. Can you help me? Being disconnected from it for a long time, you kind of lose that. And after I became the president of the chamber, Tracy Wheeler, I'm sure you've heard of Tracy
Yeah.
Wheeler, right down
Yeah,
to
I know Tracy. Yeah.
50 years. She picked up the phone one day and said, listen, it's time for you to give back. I'm busy. And she said, we're all busy. There's not one person. If they're busy, if they're not busy, we don't want them. And so,
Right.
and she said, you need to serve on our board. And I thought, well, really? And it really was the best, let me just say, kick in the pants that I received, because building that network, and I was going to those GCCE meetings, which is Gulf Coast Chamber Executives, our regional group. And if you have a regional group you can connect with, that is so important to your career, your connection, your sounding board. Those people know what you're going through, or they can sympathize or empathize with what you're going through, and can truly help you if you have an issue in your own community and you take it to someone within your own community, that may red flag you. That may say, why don't they know how to handle this?
Yeah.
And so, but if you can, develop those relationships with folks, and the first thing to do is develop it within a North Texas group, or I think there's a West Texas group, our Gulf Coast group, and we're not, and we don't. You can join any of those groups as long as you want to come to the meetings. And there's educational pieces to it, but I think the biggest part is building your tribe. And how do I be that best person for my community? Well, nobody can do it alone. If you're a sole person at a chamber, everybody needs support every once in a while. And so I think that was my first step into becoming a part of a group, which was the local group. I went to the Texas Chamber of Commerce Executives conferences. My 25th anniversary with the chamber was my first Texas Chamber of Commerce Executives conference that I went to. And Art Roberts, I don't know did you know Art Roberts?
I didn't know her. No.
Was the executive director for TCCE at the time, and he'd worked at many chambers around the state. And I met him, probably at one point. And but he introduced me as one of the newcomers or whatever, and he goes, "But she's a really slow learner because she's been around for 20." I thought, thanks, but clearly I never forgot that. But don't do that. I mean, my suggestion is, as a staff person, I didn't really have a choice whether I went to those or not. As the president and CEO, I make sure my staff goes, and they have a connection with a membership person, or they have a connection with the communications folks, or the special events non-dues revenue folks. And so it's important to us to have those relationships. So I think, as important as knowing what you're supposed to be doing, because set yourself up for success, go to those sessions that are hard for you okay, it's hard for me to listen to this financial piece of this, or it's hard for me to listen to the legislative advisory, or legislative agenda pieces of it. Just get a little bit of knowledge, come back, and then build on it and build on it. And so it took a long time for me to be interested in some of the things that I didn't feel like I was interested in.
But I think it takes time to see where.
Yeah.
I think it takes time to see the relevance where it all connects, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so I never thought I would be in this. I truly never thought I would be in the position to be the CEO. 40 years ago, of course. And
Right.
like I said, I just didn't want to drive downtown Houston. So, but that clearly had changed. And now I can't. I've had a great career. I've had a great life. I've made wonderful friends, and it's not something I take lightly. It's something I still go to those professional development seminars. We have TCCE has what they call chairman's conference, and they encourage you to bring your chairman of the board every year to this conference. I learn something new every year, and every year I take my entire executive committee, because one day they may be the chairman of the board. So
Right.
if I'm learning something new every year, they're definitely learning something new every year, and need to bring that back. And I not only want my staff trained, I want my board trained. I want them to know why they have me instead of running it just by themselves, or as a volunteer driven organization. And there's no doubt why they need to have me. They know I am their employee. The rest of the group are under my direction, and just getting them to understand is important as well. So it's not just for the staff, it's not just for me, it's training our board, and they appreciate
Well, that
our
chairman's
board really
conference is
appreciates
so,
that. Pardon me.
yeah, that chairman's conference is so unique. I think I am not aware in other states. I'm sure there's some states that do that, where they offer training for board members and board chairs. But in Texas, it's a unique opportunity. It's valuable. You get to see a lot of, as you called your tribe of
Mm-hmm.
people you connect with, but they're
Mm-hmm.
able to connect and learn from other board members too, and how things are done, and just a ton of value there. And
Yes.
it's not just you as the executive saying, this is the way chambers work, to your board executive or
Right.
your board chair, but they
Yeah.
get to see, oh, this is how successful chambers work.
Right.
So
And it's
valuable.
it's not me telling them, it's somebody else telling them.
Right.
So, and what we try, our fiscal year is October 1 to September 30th. And so, which is unusual in the chamber world these days. I like it because I'm not spending December, you know,
Right.
paddling when everybody else is taking off. And so, but when September comes, how did this happen? So, and that conference is normally in October. So our executive committee, even though we always add one or two people, we kind of bring people up through the ranks, but it's always one or two people that are new. So when they join that executive committee and then we go to that conference, it gives them a time to bond. We take them to dinner and they sit together, and and then if there's a group activity, they do that together. So to me, it's really an important piece to get them to bond as well as a group. And I take them, and a lot of us are already very friendly, and people say, don't be friends with your board members. Well, I fail completely at that.
Yeah.
And some people say, so I like people, I like the people I like, but I try to get in there and, just really find what attracts us all, and, where we can have some, there's always some kind of, secret code that happens this time when somebody
Right.
was telling a story that the night of our dinner, and her son-in-law is Ronnie, and her grandson, something happened at their house, and her grandson said, I'm going to call Ronnie. And well, that's his dad.
Oh,
So now our joke, our private joke is, I'm calling Ronnie.
yeah. That's great. Well, and you talked about having your tribe, and I know a lot of chamber executives have their tribe, their peers that they can lean upon when you're having difficulties or successes, even to cheer about, because they understand, it doesn't just happen overnight, and there's been a lot of frustration that leads up to those successes, and to be able to commiserate and celebrate together is so important. And I've heard of some, chamber executives talking about it even being their kind of their board, or their cabinet, their
Yeah,
kitchen cabinet is what they
there you
call it.
go.
Where while they sit in their kitchen, they've got their cabinet of people they could talk to and work through some of these issues.
Right.
So much
Some
value
of
with
my
that.
best friends are chamber execs, and we travel
Yeah.
together, and, we just got off on an Alaskan cruise with, three other chamber execs and our husbands. And, we just have a great time together, and you never know who's going to
Yeah.
become a great friend.
Yeah.
It's
That's
important.
true. So any other programming or anything that you want to highlight as far as
Well, we just finished a
professional development?
strategic plan. So that strategic plan included our women's engagement committee we call We, and that we're starting this year. And a lot of chambers are doing that. We just decided this year is perfect time to weave that into a strategic plan, and then we're working on that foundation. So finalizing that foundation. Part of our strategic plan, I will likely retire from this job in the midst of that strategic plan. I don't want to say I am definitely retiring on this day because I might not be done.
Yeah, that's right.
In that process, part of the strategic plan was succession planning and how to use succession plan. Been here 42 years. I mean, that's a big change for an organization. I am very, very fortunate to have a vice president that we have worked together for over 30 years. And
Wow.
she is fabulous. And she's, I run everything by her. Everything is, you're in this with me. I'm not doing this alone. I'm not a lone ranger. I work collaboratively so much better than sitting here and trying to think of, what's the next best thing. So we talked about how do we do this, transitionally and very thoughtfully. Now the board has to hire that person, that next, the next CEO of the organization, but I want them to know this is the person.
Here's your
And
recommendation.
this is
Comes
my
highly,
strong
highly vetted.
and so far, no one's pushed back. So what we are doing, since we've got a strategic plan that has some pretty lofty goals, I am moving to a position of CEO to push the strategic plan and drive that for the next, few years. She is moving into the president's role to work as, the making sure that the operations of the chamber moves on. And then we have another employee that we brought on that wanted a leadership opportunity. And so she will move into the vice president's role. And so making sure that succession planning is at least there's a footprint and a model that they can look at. In order to do that, though, we had to change our bylaws because the bylaws say the president CEO is the same person. So it's letting everyone know, in a bylaws change, not saying, okay, I'm going to change this person's title. Do you all agree? That's my job. That's not their job.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so, how we're doing that is saying, okay, this is the bylaws recommendations we have to change to move forward strategically.
Yeah.
And so we're excited about it. We're very excited about it here. They are encouraged, there's a spring in their step and they're very encouraged about it. And I am too. I love this organization. I love this community. This is my chamber. And we always say it's their chamber. They're going to, and it's their chamber, but I've been the steward of this organization for a lot of years. And so my chief responsibility for the next few years is to make sure it stays successful and stays a great organization.
And that succession planning, we don't think of it often in terms of professional development, but really it is. It's preparing for that next leader to come in and fill your shoes at some point and developing them professionally. So definitely fits in there.
And you never know, anything could happen. There could be an illness, there could be an accident. Anything can happen at any time. If you leave an organization with hurry scurry, nobody knows what's going on, but then
Which we see a lot.
Yeah. And you're set back. When I took this job, I'd been here 25 years. I thought I knew the job. And I just, I was named the interim until the board, put me in the position. And I did not know this job. I knew the job I had.
Right.
And we sent back probably a year, just me getting caught up. I would read an email and then I would respond to the email. Okay, can you tell me what this role is, or whatever.
Right.
So having that preparation, I would have loved to have had a year or more of that preparation of taking the position. And even if it's no guarantee, right? Boards do what boards are going to do. But they also see, okay, this is a successful organization. Why would we upset the apple cart? Why would we put ourselves as volunteers through that? And
they usually see the value of not rocking the boat too much.
Right, right. They're pretty
Yeah.
level-headed board, thank goodness.
Right. Right.
And I've been fortunate not to have a board that, that came in and wanted to upset the apple cart, you know,
Yeah.
so which is great.
Well, Cindy, I wanted to ask on behalf of the chambers that are listening who want to take their organization up to the next level, what kind of tip or action item might you share with them in trying to accomplish that goal?
Well, one of the things, ironically, we haven't talked about Center for Chamber of Commerce Excellence, and I'm honored to be the chair of that. That is a 3-year program in partnership with Texas Chamber of Commerce Executives and Texas A&M University, and it is professional development for chambers and nonprofit. And we offer something different every single year. I don't know if I'm sure you're familiar with Glenn Shepard.
Yeah.
Goes around the country just being the best cheerleader for chambers of commerce that I know. And he's going to lead us in the first kickoff breakfast motivation. And then we're going to end with a gentleman that's called Mr. Thank You. And it's important of how important things are to say thank you and be grateful for things. But it's 1, 2, and 3 years. We've got a session for the 3rd year class on burnout to breakthrough. It's a professor from Rice University, actually, that's doing a study on that. And so we're excited about that. But it's just preparation for a chamber career. And it doesn't have to be a chamber exec. It's staff folks. It's, all of that. And so that the deadline to register for that is we just extended the date to the 23rd of January for the early bird. And then it's the end of March. And so it's a great opportunity. And I would love to hear if anybody's interested in registering for that. But you can go on the Texas Chamber of Commerce Executives website and see Center for Chamber Excellence, or CCCE. And
Extra C.
always, yes, we always have to have the C's and the E's in there.
That's right.
Whatever that looks like. But uh, I think I truly believe it is, like I said, building relationships and also preparing yourself, knowing, listening, making sure that you get that professional development, which I didn't think was necessary. And so I
Yeah.
I don't have time for that. I just got to get through the day.
That's right.
Yeah, but it's challenging, and it's worth it. It helps me to. It's what inspires me when I have something new or something different to do. It inspires me.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Cindy, I like asking everyone I have on the show about the future of chambers. So as you look to the future, how do you see the future of chambers and their purpose going forward?
I think it's exciting. I think folks, when you hear about these online chambers, or you hear about that sort of thing, it's scary, and it's okay. They're going to take over, but everything's going to be okay. All you out there that are scared of that kind of thing, because those are the sort of things that people go into thinking this is the new fresh thing, but then they come back to, I need to build relationships. So as long as you're providing programs, build relationships, because that's what people want to do, business with people they know, like, and trust. If I know the owner or manager of a restaurant, I'm more likely to go there than another restaurant. If I know the officials at the hospital, I'm going to go to that hospital. And so what better way to build those partnerships is through common goals for community. That's how I feel it's going to be. It's going to be different. It's way different than it was 40 years ago, let me tell you.
Right.
But it's not worse. It's better. And and maybe 40 years ago, someone would have said, I don't know that there's going to be a need for a chamber of commerce. And I believe we've lasted over 500 years. I think there's always going to be a need for a chamber, as long as we have those professionals that drive it and keep them valid. You want to be a
Yeah.
valid organization. And we've had a couple instances in our community, or our, wider region, of chambers that didn't fulfill some roles, and it looks poorly on all of us. And so we want those area chambers that didn't succeed to succeed. We want them to have a better staff, a better direction, a better board. And so what better way to do that? And because when somebody comes in and says, I really kind of want to see your books because I don't really appreciate what happened at such and such chamber. Well, as long as you're a member, you can, and I can assure you we're transparent. Here's our, this is what, and then not all the books always look good. We all know
Yeah.
that. We good months, we got bad months. And so So we want them to see our 990. We want them to see what that we're relevant organizations abiding by the law.
Yeah.
Tears down the organization, gives a black eye to all of us. Even if you're running your organization perfectly,
That's true.
a neighbor doesn't. It's going to give you a black eye, unfortunately.
It does.
So,
Yeah.
mhm.
Well, Cindy, this has been great having you on the podcast. I wanted to
Well,
give you
I
an
hope so.
opportunity.
I kind of ramble
Yeah.
sometimes.
I wanted to give you an opportunity to share any contact information for listeners who may want to reach out and connect with you or maybe learn more about the CCCE program.
Sure.
Where would you point them? What would be the best way to connect?
The best way to connect with me is through email. And my email is Cindy, CINDY, at clearlakearea.com. There's no chamber at it. It's just clearlakearea.com. And I would love to hear from you. I'm a talker. So as soon as you email me, I'm going to pick up the phone and call you. So leave your phone number or our phone number at the chamber is 2816. And the 76 is when this building was built. So hence the reason I've done so many renovations at this building. I had no idea that part of the title was GC, general contractor. That is not my best role. Those are not my best day, let me tell you.
Yeah, that's funny. Part of that professional development. You just keep learning new roles.
Absolutely.
Right?
I can tell you about roofs. I can tell you about paint. I can tell you about flooring.
That's right. Oh, well, Cindy, thank you for being with us today, for sharing your insights, your experience, your background. This has been valuable, and I can't wait to push it out to everybody in chamber world. So thank you.
Thank you so much. I enjoyed it. Maybe we'll talk again.
That's right.
Yeah, we'll talk when I'm close.
If you are a chamber professional, be sure to subscribe to Chamber Chat Podcast on your favorite podcast app or now on YouTube, so you never miss a new episode. New episodes are released each week and delivered right to you. If you're finding value in the podcast, please take a moment to leave a rating and review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen. It really helps others discover the show. And most importantly, share Chamber Chat Podcast with your colleagues in the industry so we can continue to grow and strengthen the chamber community together.
This episode is brought to you by Riverside. If you've ever thought about starting a podcast for your chamber or your business, one of the biggest challenges is recording high-quality audio and video, especially when you and your guest aren't in the same room. Riverside is the platform I use to record every episode of the show. It gives you studio-quality audio and video right from your browser, automatically backs up your files, and even creates clips you can use on social media. It's designed to make podcasting simple and professional without the headaches. If you're ready to launch your podcast or upgrade your recordings, head over to chamberchatpodcast.com/riverside to get started today. Again, that's chamberchatpodcast.com/riverside, the same tool I trust to bring you these conversations every week.